Welcome to my review of the Nikon D5100 DSLR camera. In the review, I'll be covering pretty much everything you need to know before purchasing the camera. And as always, feel free to subscribe to the channel to catch my future reviews. The particular unit that I have here came with a Nikon Nikkor 18-55mm f3.5 to 5.6G lens that I will also be covering. I'm gonna start by covering the build quality and the features of the lens, and then I will focus on the camera. The lens is, like I said, an 18-55mm with an aperture value from f3.5 to 5.6. There are two switches on the lens. The first one switches between auto and manual focus, and the second one is a vibration reduction, which is basically like an image stabilizer, but in my tests I found it to be more effective. Basically, vibration reduction allows you to take handheld shot at a low shutter speed without getting blurry images. I found this feature of the lens to be very effective, and the images usually came out pretty clean, but of course there's always an advantage of having steady hands when taking pictures. The entire lens is made out of plastic, but the zoom rocker has a rubber grip. The focus is controlled by moving the front portion of the lens. The mount on the lens is plastic, but honestly that didn't really bother me since the lens is not that heavy, meaning that a metal mount would have been quite unnecessary. Compared to other kit lenses, this one's actually pretty sharp. The focusing is pretty slow compared to more professional lenses, but it's not slow enough to complain about it. As you can see from these sample images, you can get pretty close-up shots with the lens, which I'm a big fan of because I love taking close-up, detailed shots of objects. However, I did notice that when you're getting this close, the lens will not focus automatically. You will have to use the manual focus in order to get it all sharp. And now onto the camera itself. I consider the D5100 as an entry-level camera, and it's great to get you started in photography. The build quality is fair. I normally prefer a bigger camera because my hands are big, and when I hold the D5100, my little finger ends up all alone and scared underneath the camera. I could squeeze it on the grip, but that's not a very comfortable way of holding the camera. Even though I consider this an entry-level DSLR, there are some pretty cool features built into it. The first one that I was very glad to see was a microphone input jack, which will allow you to get better audio through your video recordings. The D5100 can record videos at full HD at the resolution of 1920 by 1080p at 25 frames per second. I would have liked to see 30 frames per second, but it doesn't really matter unless you're doing slow motion. The videos are recorded in .mov files, meaning that they are compatible with pretty much every video editing software out there, including Premiere Pro and Final Cut Pro. There's an individual button next to the shutter release that records video, so no matter what mode you're in or what effect you're using, you can always hit the record button to record a video. The camera has a swiveling display that I'm a big fan of. It allows you to take high or low angle shots as well as self-portraits. Also, for instance, when you travel with the camera, you can make the display face towards the camera. That way you can protect it from scratches and marks. The D5100 has a few very cool effects, and to access them you just go to the effect selection on the mode dial, and then you can use the rotation switch on the back to switch between effects. The built-in effects are night vision, which makes your videos or pictures look like you're shooting them from an infrared camera in the dark. Then there is color sketch, which makes the picture or video look like a weird drawing. And then there's the miniature effect, which I'm a big fan of. Most of you probably heard of it before, but it basically makes things like cars and buildings look small. It's very fun to play with this effect because you can take some pretty weird pictures. Then there is the selective color effect, and the best way to explain it is to show it to you. So I've got the D5100 mounted here on this tripod pointing outside the window. And the reason for why I'm not outside is because it's freezing and I really don't want to turn the camera into a popsicle. So over there are these houses, and I'm gonna turn the camera on and put it in the effects mode. and I'm gonna find the selective color effect. Okay, so that's the effect. I'm gonna put it in live view, and without making any adjustments, I'm gonna take a picture. And as you can see, it's black and white. Now why is that? Well, the selective color mode asks you to select a color that will appear on the picture. So to do that, you just hit the OK button, and I'm gonna aim at the red house that's over there. It's a little difficult because it's far away, but I'm gonna do my best to get the color right. So once I've got an aim at the color that I want, I just push the up arrow, and as you can see here on the little square, it selected the red color. And there are different values. You can go up to 7, but that will make the picture look normal. So you can kind of adjust how bright the color is. So about here is right at 2. So if I take a picture now, you can see that everything's black and white except for the color that I selected. So there's the house over here and the house over there. And I can do that again by hitting the OK button and aiming at, for example, the yellow house, and get a selection. Doesn't really appear to get the selection right, so I'm just gonna try dimming it so it looks right, and I'm gonna take the picture, and what you'll see now is that the yellow house is clearly presented instead of the red houses that were clearly presented earlier. So hopefully this demonstrates the selective color effect. Then there is the silhouette effect. It's a little difficult to explain, but basically it makes your pictures dark but still visible. It's a very cool and artistic effect. The two final effects are high key and low key. They basically make your pictures overexposed or underexposed. I really enjoyed using these effects. They allow you to take very artistic pictures and videos without having to put them through a heavy post-production or editing. One thing that I hate with cameras is shutter lag. That is when you press the shutter release and